Hey everyone, it is 6 o'clock or thereabouts here in Arizona, Phoenix, Arizona. My name is Tim Wright. I am the senior pastor of Community of Grace Lutheran Church, and we are just about to embark on our big Bothell Town Hall meeting. This is our second COVID Town Hall meeting, and it's a chance for us to get together as a community of faith and to talk about where we're at right now, what's going on. I know the question many of you are asking is, when are we going to open? I'm going to give you a nebulous answer to that as we go through the evening and talk about some other things as well. But we thought tonight is really just a chance for us as a church, as a family, to connect. And so there's a couple ways for you to send in questions. And if you're watching via Facebook right now, you can type in some questions in the comments. If you want to just say hi to folks, you can do that as well. But if you've got a question about the church, if you've got a question that you'd like for us to wrestle with as a community of faith, that's one of the ways that you can do that. We're also adding in a text option for you if you'd like your question to be a bit more private. And so you can see that in the phone number, you're going to type in 22333. In the message, type in Grace AZ and then your question. You got to have Grace AZ and then your question, or we have no idea who it's going to go to. So if you've got some questions, and you may have some questions as we go throughout the evening, we're going to make sure that we keep that text number up for you. And of course, the comments are always open for you on Facebook. And we would love to connect with you in any way that we can. And it could be questions about reopening. It could be questions about anything you want to ask about your church right now. I may answer some of them before we get to your questions, because I'm going to do a little bit of a review. But again, this is our chance to have some question and answer together. So before we actually dive into what's going on, I thought what we would do tonight is debut for you a video. Now, if you had a chance to see worship this weekend, you saw this great video that we did with B.J. Thomas. They love him down in Shreveport, and he did Amazing Grace for us a few weeks ago. And B.J.'s talent, his voice, along with our band and choir, it was just such an amazing video. And I was inspired to make a music video. And this is actually a kid's video, but I have a hunch adults will appreciate it probably more than our kids. So we're going to debut it tonight. It's going to come back to you again in a worship service here soon. But this is a song that we taught the kids before COVID hit, and it's a chance for us to review the song, and you get to see it for the very first time right now.
I've got the sunshine in my hands. You got the sunshine in your hands. We've got the sunshine in our hands. Now let it shine all over this land. Join me. I've got the sunshine in my hands. You've got the sunshine in your hands. We've got the sunshine in our hands. Now let it shine all over this land. All right, kids, you want to do a little clapping with me? You ready? Here we go. Let's do it again. Good. Groovy. Here we go. Holy, holy, glory, glory, hallelujah. I believe it now. Holy, holy, glory, glory, let it shine all over this land. Let's do it again. Holy, holy, glory, glory, hallelujah. I believe it now. Holy, holy, glory, glory, let it shine all over this land. I've got the sunshine in my hands. You've got the sunshine in your hands. We've got the sunshine in our hands. Now let it shine all over this land. Last time, here we go. I've got the sunshine in my hands. You've got the sunshine in your hands. We've got the sunshine in our hands. Now let it shine all over this land. Now let it shine all over this land. Now let it shine all over this land. Groovy.
All right, a big thanks to our staff for their willingness to have a little fun with that, and to Ryan for putting all that together. Just want to let you know that we've got some of your staff here today. Basically, it's our tech team. We've got Jeff here, who is going to be running the questions for me tonight off of the Facebook page or off of the text. Diane and Steve are running the video and the audio. Danny's here with us as well. And then we've got Isaiah, who's mixing things. They're all running around asking if people can even hear us. So is it something? Oh, Israel, what did I say? Isaiah. Oh, Isaiah. Israel, sorry, Israel. I'm busy watching you guys all running around. Everything's good? All right. Normally they're not running around with their heads cut off like a chicken when we're doing these things, but right now everybody's been running around and they're checking things, so I just want to make sure that you can hear us. If you can't hear me, would you send Jeff a text? Okay, I think we're good. All right, so here's how it's going to work again. I'm going to give you just a little overview of what's going on. If you would like to send in a question, you can do that on Facebook in the comments, or you can actually text a question in. The phone number is 22333. In the message, write Grace AZ and your question. Grace AZ and your question, one question at a time. If you have 2 or 3 questions, you need to do Grace AZ, a separate text each time, all right? So Grace AZ and your question, and hit send, all right? So let's talk just a little bit about reopening. And that's kind of the big question. When are we going to reopen? And so let me give you a little context. The good news here in Arizona, if you've been keeping score, is that our numbers, our COVID cases have dropped dramatically. And that is really good news. We've worked hard. We've been wearing our face masks, a lot of us. And, of course, some things were closed again. But our numbers are going down, and that's the good news. Hospital numbers are going down, but they're going down more slowly, but that's also good news. But we want to make sure that we're doing everything we can so that we don't have those hospital numbers go up again. And by the way, on Tuesday at 6 o'clock, we're going to be showing a video on Facebook that an interview that I did with several frontline workers, including our pastor Alan, who is working over at Thunderbird Samaritan. And it's a chance just for us to hear how important it is for us to do stuff to keep healthy, because those folks were overwhelmed for a period of time, and they know that they're not out of the woods yet. So anyway, the numbers are going down. That's a really good thing. However, we do know that this is a virus that spreads quickly. And as we saw back in mid-May, late May, when we opened up our state, our numbers increased dramatically almost instantly. And as a leadership here at your church, there were a few people who said, okay, the state's been open up, can we worship again? And we said, we're going to take at least 2 weeks to see what happens, because we knew this thing was going to blow up, and it did. Now our numbers are down, and so there's going to be this tendency for us again to sort of loosen up, our concerns and maybe get a little sloppy, and we don't want to do that. We don't want to see us go into another tailspin. So we need to be careful, and we need to really make sure that any decisions we make are going to be safe. So part of what's happening right now is we as a staff and your board, we're watching things as the numbers continue to go down. I recognize that there are some churches here in Peoria that have reopened in the last couple weekends. And good on them. We're not there yet. We're not ready to do that yet, and I do think it's important for us to sort of watch what happens with their churches. We've heard from other places in other parts of the country where churches have opened and they've had to close again. And we don't want to do that either. Our responsibility as Christian people is to do what we can to make sure that we're keeping everybody safe. And this isn't a fear-based decision. This is a grace-based decision, a love-based decision. We are not going to open until we can be absolutely sure that by reopening, we're not going to put people at risk. The thing is, at least for me, I'm going to speak just for myself. I'm not speaking for the board or the staff. We need to get our economy open again. We need to get our schools open again. And one of the ways that we can make that happen more quickly is to make sure that we aren't a part of super spreader events like worship. That as Christian people, we're doing what we can, and that's by not worshiping in place, so that we're making sure we're not contributing to further spread. We're able to do worship together and be together every week. It's not the greatest, but we're still able to do it. But there are restaurants and there are businesses that can't do their business unless they can reopen. There are students who can't get into the classroom unless we can reopen, and we want to make sure that Community of Grace is one of those churches that is being patient for the sake of our state and our country, our businesses, and our children. So we're going to slow it down. I have not set any dates for reopen because I know if I set dates, we're just going to have to blow by them. I have had personally some dates that we've blown by, but I've not announced any of them because it doesn't do any good to do that. I think, and I said this in the last town hall meeting, I think what will probably happen is we're going to get to a point as a staff and as a board when we're going to say, all right, we're ready to start experimenting. And that week, we'll say, all right, here's how we're going to do it. Probably be a reservation system. We're going to require masks, so just so you know, we're going to require masks, and we're not going to have congregation singing because those are the science-based protocols that would keep us safe. And we're not going to be one of those churches that became a spreader. When we get back to worship, we're going to do it as people of grace for the sake of the community around us. It's not about us. It's about our community. And so we're still able to worship together. I thought we had a great worship service this past weekend, and all of them have been really good. Would I love to see you here in person? Of course I would. Would I love to be able to shake hands with you? Of course I would. But I want to be able to shake hands with you and make sure that we're safe doing that. So I'm not saying when we're opening and not opening. I'm just saying it's not going to be for a few weeks. There are some churches that have already made the decision they're not going to open until after Christmas. We're not one of those churches either. I would love to be back for Christmas, but only if it's safe. So, if there are some questions about opening, we'll be happy to answer those in just a moment. But I do want to let you know that as we're making this decision, we are doing this, of course, as a staff. We had a board meeting on Thursday, and the board was unanimous that now is not the time for us to open. And the board was very, very affirming of the staff and the work that we're doing to stay connected with you. The board was very affirming of you and your patience and your support financially of this mission and ministry. And so we just want to make sure we're making a good decision together, and right now the best decision is not to worship. And besides that, when you have to come into this building and wear a mask and not touch each other and not be able to sing, it's not really much of a worship service. You've maybe seen some other churches where they're singing and they're hugging, but that's not protocol. And we don't want to be the church where the virus kicked in again. So we're going to take it easy. I'm not telling you when we're going to be in. I'm not telling you when we're not going to be in. We're just going to take it sort of week by week. But I wouldn't, if I were you, I wouldn't expect to be back in until sometime. All right? I promised I'd be nebulous. How was that? Jeff, do we have any questions about that so far?
About opening?
Yeah, just any about that question so far. I'm going to talk about a couple other things, but if there were some follow-ups to that,
Go ahead.
just keep going. Okay. I want to talk a little bit about our finances because whenever we open, we want to make sure that we have the finances to open again. But more than that, we want to make sure that we have the financial wherewithal to continue to meet the needs of our community. And as you can imagine, there have been many, many needs. And we can't meet them all. We recognize that. We do have obligations here with staff and other things. But we have tried to cut our budget as much as we possibly can. So let me say a few things about our giving. First of all, I want to thank you for your giving. We're still here. And for the foreseeable future, we're still going to be here because of your giving. But that's not to say it hasn't been tight. It's been tight, and understandably so. I know that a number of folks have lost jobs, have lost income. I know that the stock market's sort of been funny for some people who live on that. And so it's understandable that our finances are going to be tight. It's understandable that our finances would be tight because we're simply not together and sort of out of sight, out of mind. Although, again, thankfully, this has been an online ministry where we have been together every single day of the week. So we have been able to keep in touch with each other. But our finances have been tight. And we're okay. We're not panicked. But I do want you to know that this is one of those moments in history where we as Christians have the opportunity to step into a world that is broken and hurting like we've never seen before in our lifetimes, and to follow Jesus in generosity. And those of us who have capacity right now to be generous, this is our chance to step into the gap for those in our congregation who are not able right now, because of all kinds of circumstances with the pandemic, to give. And so, as I've always done in our 15, coming up now on 16 years of ministry in March, I'll never beg you for money, but I'll always be honest with you. And to be honest, it's a bit tight. And to be honest, we need you to continue to give because we do want to make sure that we're here when it's time to open. And because this is a great privilege that we have as followers of Jesus to give for the sake of a broken world. And so as I mentioned yesterday during worship, we have sent some money off to one of our Lutheran organizations to help in Beirut. We just gave away backpacks to Lake Pleasant Mobile Home Park Estates and over in El Mirage. We've been helping people with food cards when money is getting tight for them. And all of that is happening because you're continuing to give. And so we thank you for that, and I just want to encourage you to keep it up. Our offerings have, as I said, been pretty good. A couple weeks ago, we had one of our lowest offerings in our 15-year history, and then we bounced back again, and that's just the nature of things. And we know, based on what's happening right now, that things may just get tighter financially for people. So if you have capacity, just pray about it. It's all I ever ask you to do. God, what do you want us to give in these times? And go to boldrecklessgrace.org, boldrecklessgrace.org/giving, and all the ways to give are there. So that's about our giving. We're okay. It's tight. We're okay. But we really need each other to keep on giving to support this mission and ministry. All right? And then I want to review a little bit. I talked about this the last time we were together. It was about 5-6 weeks ago. Some of our thinking now as we move toward getting back together. And again, when we talk about being back together, we're not going to be back together like we used to be together. It's going to be social distance. It's going to be a smaller group of people. We'll probably have 16 services a weekend now rather than 1 or 2. The whole staff just got up and left. So it's going to be different, and we're still always going to do online. And part of the reason why we will always do online is because that shift was coming, and the pandemic put it on steroids. And so a number of you have let me know how much you enjoy these services online because you can watch the service in your pajamas. We've got people, some of our members who aren't here in the summertime. They're watching us from other parts of the state. People love these online services. But we do want to get together as well. So we'll be doing both from now on. But the question will be, with the online services the way they are, why would people even come back to the worship center? And that's going to be the question that a lot of churches will wrestle with. Because it's so convenient, watching on screen, why drive to church? Why fight the kids to get to church? Why fight your husband to get out of bed to come to church? Just watch when you want to watch. You can watch it Tuesday night. You can watch it Wednesday morning. Why would people? What is it about coming into this building that will be a draw for people now that we've gotten used to being online? Let me give you I read this article. There's a Canadian pastor. I get his stuff 2-3 times a week. And here's something he wrote, and I thought it was great. He said, "Unchurched people aren't lying. Sunday is really awesome." And here's what he said. "For years, I've heard people talk about how awesome Sunday is, that it's their only family day, the only free day, that it's different than all the other days. And although I was polite on the outside, I pushed back and kept thinking, well, it would be way more awesome if you were here in church on Sundays. Having been at home now almost every Sunday for months, I finally understand what people have been telling me for decades. Sunday is a different kind of day. My neighborhood, which is about 95% on church, is much quieter on Sunday morning than it is on Saturday or any other day. There's something wonderful about enjoying a 2-day weekend when most other people aren't working that is different than taking a Friday or a Monday off, which is what pastors usually do. So what's the point? I guess it gives me a fresh perspective on the cultural challenge church leaders face when I'm asking someone to give up a Sunday morning to get to know God better. Here's what I said to the board on Thursday. Now I understand why you guys skip church so much. Now, that's sort of tongue-in-cheek. But the only times that I would miss a Sunday worship service is if I was on vacation. But for the last 4 months, I've been a regular person. And I don't come to church on Sunday. Jan and I watch the service Saturday night. Sunday mornings, for the first time in my life, I get up and I ride my bike. I exercise. I take it easy. I love having Sundays off. It really is a different day. And I understand now better what a commitment it is that you make when you give up a part of your Sunday to come to worship. It's an amazing day. I'd take it off. I'd go to church Saturday, but I'd take Sunday off. It's an awesome day. And so the question that staff is going to be wrestling with is, all right, so what is it that we're going to be doing in the building that makes it worth coming to on Sundays? That's better than staying home and having that cup of coffee, reading the paper, watching the news, and just enjoying the day. And that's a big question the churches are going to wrestle with, and we're going to wrestle with that as a staff. What can we offer here in place that we can't offer online? And we're going to work on that. And I promise you we're going to work on that. And find ways to make this even more engaging than it's been before. Now, for some of you, you're saying, well, duh, it's just coming to see everybody. That's true. But that's not the big draw for everybody. Some people, you know, they come because they love the worship service, so they just, it's a part of their ritual. But what is it that you say, I have to be there Sunday morning, or I'm going to really miss something? So we're going to work on that. One of the things that we are talking about, I've mentioned this before, is sort of this 30-30 concept, that we would get together and 30 minutes would be the worship service, and then another 30 minutes for the kids to go to Sunday school, and we do some music and dig deeper into the sermon, maybe have a chance to interact with the sermon more, and maybe up our game out there with the food. And, you know, Jeff can get up early, and maybe Jeff and Diane, I think, would make some homemade donuts. Staff just left again. But, you know, those are the things that we're going to look at, because we know that we're doing pretty good worship online, but we want to be outstanding when you come to the building. All right? So those are some of the things that we're looking at, and no decisions have been made. We're just wrestling with that, and we'd love to hear from you too. What is it about coming to church on Sunday that makes it a must-do for you, and versus just watching it online? And we'd love to hear from you on that. And so that's sort of, you know, what does worship look like in a post-COVID world? I think we also need to ask the question, what does worship look like in a post-George Floyd world? His story has changed everything. The story of racism has changed everything. And we can't go back. We can't ignore it. And so what does it mean for us as a church to stand with other churches in solidarity and say, we will fight for all people to be equal? And what will that look like? And we've been doing some things already as a church. Our staff is going through a process. And we recognize this is one of the major issues in our country today. There are several others, of course. And so what will that look like for us? And then the last thing for me is, and this is not something you can program, it has to do with the word passion. Passion. And let me just say what I'm praying for. In my own life, a renewed passion to follow Jesus more deeply, to recognize the grace of Jesus in my own life, to have that fire burning in my life that Jesus has made a profound difference in my life. I'm praying for that same thing to happen for you, that during this time of pandemic, that Jesus would come and reset our lives with his grace, reignite passion, this passion that says, I'm going to give it all, I'm going to share it all for the sake of this world. Because when I look at the world now through the lens of what we're experiencing and how broken it is, we got to up our game as Christian people. We've got to up our game when it comes to generosity and when it comes to loving people and when it comes to breaking down barriers, when it comes to telling people about Jesus, when it comes to offering hope. The world is broken. It is desperately broken. And it needs churches like ours. It needs Christians like us who every day are praying, Spirit of the living God, fall afresh on me, fall afresh on us, and use us in whatever way it is to let people know that there's a God who loves them. There's a God who can hold us through all of this. And there's a God who can get us through to the other side. And this God is for us. And so I'm praying for a renewed passion in my own life. I'm praying for a renewed passion in your life, that Jesus would become, for lack of a better word, more real for us, more immediate in our lives, and that we would sense this burning desire to want to share Jesus in the way that we give, the way that we live, the way that we speak, the way that we interact, the way that we do church together. So those are some of the things right now that are on my heart, some of the things that I'm praying about, and your staff continues to meet every week. And, to be honest, we're working hard just to get each weekend ready. It's a lot more work to do what we do now online than it was to just come here and do it live. As you can tell with all the videos we're doing and so on, there's a lot more production work that goes to make it really look good and sound good. So we're keeping busy to make sure we're doing great worship every week, and Monday through Friday, great prayer times. But we are spending time digging deep into faith and what it looks like in this new world. And your prayers are appreciated, and always your comments, your emails are appreciated. This is what we love about Grace. This is what we love to see at Grace. This is why we come. This is what we want to see happen on the weekends. We're open to all of that. We're just throwing stuff up on the wall, and whatever sticks is what we're going to use. And there's a lot of stuff that's slipped down so far. But those things that stick are going to be great. All right? So that's all I got. And we'll see if Jeff's got some stuff. And if he does, great. If he doesn't, that's great too.
All right, so the first question, there's actually not a lot of questions.
That's good.
Which
All
is
right.
really good. A lot of great comments, and you can read through those.
I will when I get home.
Yeah. So the first one, I don't know if you can answer this. You probably can. With all the previous Disney productions, were any recorded, and could they be played on YouTube or a watch party?
The answer is they were recorded only for internal purposes. We are not able to post those on YouTube at this point, I don't think, right? Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yep. And it's copyright stuff. We did talk originally about, can we do a little something, a Zoom thing, create some videos, but quite honestly, we are so busy right now creating new videos for our worship service that we couldn't do it. And of course, we are wondering if we'll be together at Christmas time, and if we're not at Christmas time, what those services are going to look like. So even though we're hoping we could be together at Christmas time, we're planning that we won't be together at Christmas time, just so we can start putting into place the things we need to do to make it a great Christmas for you.
And I think everything else is just comments that I think you can read, and then you can either respond back to. But all really positive
Very,
comments.
very good. Well, good. We don't want to keep you longer than we need to. We just wanted to check in and basically tell you that this is the definitive word on when we're opening. Sometime. Good? All right. Thank you. Thank you. And again, I am praying with you and for you for this new passion, this new craving, this new desire to go deeper into our faith. Monday night, tomorrow night, we're going to be doing our prayer time together. Tuesday night, We're going to be showing that video of the interview that I did with our frontline workers. Wednesday night, Bible study. We are doing that 30-30 thing, although the worship service yesterday was 50 minutes. Hopefully, we'll learn how to do 30-30, but doesn't matter. Right now, we're doing worship and then the Bible study on Wednesday. And the Bible study takes us a little deeper into the topic that we did this weekend. Thursday, Tony, Lisa, and Tim will be live to take your requests, your music requests. Friday, Pastor Kathleen will be leading the prayer time. And then Saturday, we get back to worship as we continue following Jesus through the Gospel of Mark. So we're going to close with something. It's another video that we're premiering, and let me just give you the background on this. When I went to high school, and all of my siblings went to the same high school, and this is where I met Jan, most of us were in the choir in high school, and we had this exceptional choir director named Harry Opel. We had one of the premier high school choirs in all of Minneapolis, probably all the universe, but at least the Minneapolis area. And one of the songs that we sang was a musical version of the benediction, "The Lord bless you and keep you." And we would sing it as a family once in a while at different events. And we sang it at the funeral for my mom, and we sang it at the funeral for my dad. And after my dad's funeral, this is about 10 years ago now, is it that long? Because Clover's 11. So at least 10 years ago, we went into the studio and we recorded vocally the benediction. And then just a couple weeks ago, some of us got together in our various places, and we put some more vocals on top live. And so what you're going to see on this video are basically people related to me. You'll see me and Jan. My brothers, Jeff and Dave, are there. My sisters, Lori and Lisa, are there. Two of my nieces are there, Ashley and Caitlin. My daughter, Alicia, and then my second cousin, Dave, is there. So this is sort of our family, and we're singing the benediction, and this is our gift to you to bless you. Thank you for joining us. Hope to hear from you soon via emails, however it is, and we'll be together again soon.
The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord lift his countenance upon you and give you peace, and give you peace. The Lord making his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you and be